Do opposites really attract? So today we're talking about this topic that
Yes.
you commonly hear these phrases, these slogans and whatnot. What's interesting about them is we hear them, they feel like objective truth, but sometimes they don't always flesh out the way that we would hope they would. So today we're going to talk about, do opposites really attract in relationships?
Yeah.
So how I started off is when we think about opposites. I think you first have to define what you mean by opposites, because there are, in my opinion at least, there are things that you don't necessarily want to be the opposite in.
Okay. Like what?
Like for example, I'm really good at budgeting money and all you do is spend money. That's one example, just on a like personal lifestyle
Going into
level.
marriage, yeah, you right about that.
Opposites
one.
attract. I love to spend money, you love to save money, and we'll make a perfect crew. Like, no, maybe not. I don't know.
Especially if the one who loves to just spend is the husband, the head of the household, because that could be an issue.
Yeah, so if we're talking about lifestyle things, being the opposite isn't always good. I like to have sex, you don't. Like, what? No, that's not, that probably is not a good opposite at that point. I'm a religious person, you're not. Like, there's a lot of things we can think about that opposites clearly do not attract. Generally,
do not recommend.
So, all jokes aside, generally when people say opposites attract, they're referring to personality. They're talking about
likes.
Right. So it's like, oh, I'm, an introvert. She's an extrovert, or I'm not saying that's with us, but like if I'm on one side of that and she's on the other, then that may be an instance where it's like someone that doesn't like to do, be as outward, I guess, or be around a whole bunch of people all the time. And then versus the other person always wants to be around people. So that may be one example. Someone may be loud, another person may be quiet and timid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do that.
So there's a lot of different scenarios. So generally speaking, when we talk about personality traits, in a lot of cases, I have found that opposites, they do attract, but they don't always, it doesn't always play out that way. So for me, I don't necessarily think looking for someone that is the opposite of you should be like your end goal. I think generally speaking, we do like people that have similarities to us because that makes it easy to relate. But we don't want to go too far on either extreme. You don't want someone that's so different than you to where you just can't appreciate them, or you can't appreciate the things they got going on because they're just so different. And then you don't want somebody that's exactly like you, because there may be some things you don't like that come out. There have been times where I've been around people that I've seen traits that I know I have, and I'm like, dang, is that how I come off? Because I'm like that. And it actually makes me see that there's areas that I need to work on, because I know how I feel just seeing something kind of embodied in someone else. So there's times where I think when we talk about opposites attract, I think what we're generally getting at is there are things in a person that you may lack and that person has. And it would seem like on surface that this wouldn't work out, but no, there's an attraction there because that person kind of like in a sense completes you. And I don't think it's always every single thing is opposite. I don't think anybody means that literally. So I don't think you pursue people that are just like you or are completely different than you, but I think it's a mixture of those different things. But ultimately, and I want to know your thoughts on this too, but like I think ultimately what it comes down to is there are non-negotiables. You have non-negotiables in relationships that you have to be aligned on. Or aligned in, I'm sorry. You want to be aligned in obviously your belief system as far as faith is concerned. If you're Christian, you probably don't want to get with a Muslim and vice versa. You want to be aligned on vision as far as do you see yourself having children? Like
exactly.
If you don't want to be the opposite on a lot of things. So I think, and I can go on and on, but I want to get your thoughts on like, as far as values is concerned, I think you do got to be kind of lockstep with that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Because again, we're talking about like looking towards marriage and things, and for that relationship to work, to last, you can't be complete opposites on everything.
Right.
Y'all gonna be always butting heads and arguing, so it's not gonna work. But I think it was big because for me, I thought about some people who, like maybe the woman doesn't want any children, and then the man's like, oh yeah, I want a big family, 6 kids. Opposites attract, like they want the that's not, you got to come to some middle ground, like that. But I do like the part where you said like complimenting each other. And I think that's the biggest thing and why opposites attract at the end of the day. Because for example, if you're a person who you like, oh, I run late a lot, for example, stuff like that. Not saying I do, but I'm saying if you run late a lot. And then you like to go with somebody because you like, you know what, I do want to do better in this area.
Yeah.
I want to improve in this area. They're always 5 minutes early, if that, like maybe 10 minutes, whatever.
Absolutely.
So then you want to, look, I said we're not talking about us. No, look. But
I'm just playing.
Look, so you want to get with somebody who's going to help you in the area. Definitely not hurt you, but somebody who's going to help you with that weakness. You know, there may be a person who is not as organized. They got their papers over here, over there. And you are like, I need a folder for that. I need a binder for this, blah, blah, blah. So it's opposites attract, and you can see how you can benefit each other in the future. So I would say for sure, they really do attract. But then the longer you are together, the more you'll see y'all start acting alike. People say y'all start looking alike, you know, because y'all spend so much time with each other and we change.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think everything you said was good. And I think we can kind of even personalize some of the things. Obviously, I was joking on that.
No, he does typically like to be early. This is true, actually.
I do.
And I'm a person who like to get there right on time. But then they say right on time is late. So
hey, I don't love that phrase. I used to like that phrase. I don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things I could think of, like with us, as far as that. I mean, you brought up like that one, but I love the fact that like we complement each other in those areas. So we're similar in many ways. And then there's other things that we were not similar in, that because we're around each other, and I don't believe that we're just static. Some people just think we're, you know, you're just one way and you stay that way for the rest of your life. But there's always an opportunity for you to grow in a certain area. And I think with both of us, there were moments where it felt like, you know, this is how I am, and that's all there is to it. You know, I was born this way. Not, I'm playing, obviously, but like there are moments, I think, even in dating, where you might feel like, oh, this person is just completely introvert, and that's the end of the story. Nothing that can be done about it. And I'm not saying that person necessarily will stop being introverted, but I think them understanding what is necessary for the relationship to thrive, because I'm not an introvert, but I'm somewhere in the middle, because I don't always like going out. If it's a lot of people involved with stuff, I might be more likely to not be as interested. Or I'll have this kind of thought like, man, I know when I get there, I'm going to be looking at the clock ready to, you know, what time is it? When is the time to go? And I have that happen sometimes. Then there's other times where I'm just so excited to get out there. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle. But it might sometimes read off as like an introvert. She's a complete extrovert, if you ask me. I could be wrong, but she, like, the biggest way to differentiate the two is, one, you it feels like you get around people and you lose energy and you're just tired, ready to go. Whereas I feel like an extrovert, they just thrive being around people, and it's just like the life of the not life of the party always, but you know, like they just get energized being around people, excited, that excitement just energized, and they thrive from that social interaction. True. And she's much more that direction than I am. And I think, but what happens is, because she's that way, I could just be like, nah, I'd rather stay at home, be on the computer, watch a show, or do something, you know, have some alone time. What she's challenged me to do is to step out of that comfort zone and saying like, okay, I don't have to have nearly as much alone time to do whatever I want to do. I don't have to be to myself as much, because as her husband, she needs me to be available. She needs me to do things with her, go places and go out on dates, go do events, plan out stuff. I can be at home all day, every day, whether it be video games, whether it be doing reading, watching videos on YouTube. So it's like a lot of different things we can personalize in this conversation and see like where she's complimented me in that regard. And it's helped me outside of just our marriage, but in life. So what I would say is that opposites in many ways do attract, but I think that complementary aspect of the two who have those different traits up to them can benefit the person in another way. There's things that, as far as like my organization, I'm not the most organized person myself, but in how I structure certain things or how I approach certain things, I could just see, even if we didn't talk about it, I could just see like how it's influenced her, and vice versa. The things that she's helped me with. Communication is a big thing. I mean, how I communicate certain things across, and I've seen her do those things as well. So it's like amazing how those opposites, you know, not only have they attracted, but it's kind of like they cross-pollinate.
I agree.
So we love to know your thoughts. Do you all believe in that saying, opposites attract? What are your thoughts on that? Leave a comment below. And before you head out, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed.